It feels like everyone else had their babies at the right time, and I missed my window. When Anne came to me at 43 after 5 failed IVF attempts, these were her exact words. She believed her time had passed, that she had somehow missed her chance while focusing on her career and finding the right partner. 2 years later, she was nursing her 6-month-old daughter. What changed wasn't just her protocol or her doctors. What transformed was her entire relationship with time itself. Today, I'm sharing the framework that helped her and many women like her tap into what I call fertility beyond time, and how you can access this too, starting right now. What if I told you that the biggest obstacle to your fertility isn't your age, but something entirely within your control? This may sound radical, especially when we've been conditioned to view time as an unstoppable force marching against our reproductive potential. But stay with me. For women over 40, time often transforms from a neutral measurement into something that feels almost alive, a looming shadow that follows you from doctor's appointments to late night Google searches. You check your calendar, calculating cycles and possibilities, feeling the weight of each passing month. I've seen it countless times, brilliant, accomplished women who approach their fertility journey with the same determination that helped them build successful careers, only to find themselves trapped in a relentless battle against the clock. Medical literature does not help ease the mind. Statistics about declining egg quality and diminishing ovarian reserve can feel like doors slamming shut, one after another. Yet, despite these sobering numbers, women are getting pregnant with their own eggs in their 40s all the time. Those miracle babies that doctors can't quite explain with their charts and graphs. These unexplainable successes point to something beyond the numbers, something many fertility specialists aren't trained to address. Our society has constructed such a rigid timeline for women's lives that we barely question it anymore. Education in your 20s, career establishment and partner finding in your early 30s, and babies by your late 30s. Deviation from this path often triggers not just internal anxiety, but external judgment. This timeline messaging isn't just emotionally exhausting, it creates a near constant state of stress that directly impacts your hormonal balance and reproductive function. Let me introduce you to a client of mine, a 42-year-old executive who came to me convinced she had missed her window. After 2 years of fertility treatments producing nothing but disappointment, she came to work with me physically and emotionally depleted. She embodied the modern fertility paradox, financially prepared for motherhood, but biologically challenged by the very success that provided that stability. What she didn't realize, what many women don't, is that her perception of running out of time was creating a physiological environment actively working against conception. When your mind constantly signals, I'm too old or it's too late, your body responds accordingly. These thoughts are not just emotional burdens, they trigger real biological responses. The body is remarkably responsive to our thought patterns. When negative beliefs about age and fertility dominate your thinking, they trigger a stress response that elevates cortisol levels, the stress hormone. This hormonal shift activates your nervous system's protective mechanisms, which can actually inhibit reproductive functions. Your body, designed for survival above all else, does not prioritize conception when it senses danger. And for many women, the perceived threat of running out of time is enough to keep the stress response actively engaged. Meanwhile, the constant checking of your calendar, tracking apps, and monitoring systems creates another layer of disconnection. Rather than tuning into your body's natural wisdom and rhythms, you become fixated on external measurements and timelines. This obsessive monitoring often drowns out the subtle signals your body sends about its readiness and receptivity. What if I told you that recalibrating your relationship with time could have a more profound impact on your fertility than any medical intervention? When women shift from negative thought patterns to positive beliefs like, I am safe, I am open, and I trust divine timing, something remarkable happens. This mental shift reduces stress hormones and promotes what we might call a rest and receive state, a physiological condition far more conducive to conception. The most surprising thing about fertility after 40 isn't that it declines, it's that your perception of time influences your fertility more profoundly than your chronological age. Research increasingly suggests that biological age, which is how your body actually functions, can differ significantly from chronological age, which is the number of years you've lived. And remarkably, your thoughts and beliefs help determine which age your body expresses. Think of it like this. We've all met a woman in her 40s who glows with vitality. Her skin is radiant, her eyes are bright, and she carries herself with calm, grounded energy. She's magnetic, alive, and deeply present in her body. And then there's the 30-year-old who feels completely depleted. Her face is tense, her body is tired, her energy is scattered. She's running on stress hormones, barely breathing deeply, constantly in her head. It's like her system is stuck in survival mode. This is the difference between chronological age and biological age. One is a number, the other is a state of being. And your thoughts and beliefs, how safe you feel, how supported you feel, how much you trust your path can shape which one your body expresses. While science offers protocols and timelines, it cannot measure the wisdom you've gathered through your unique life journey. The very experiences you might now regret, that relationship that lasted too long, the years focused on career, the delayed family planning, may be the greatest gifts preparing you for the mother you're meant to become. What if time has been working for you all along, not against you? The deep undercurrent of regret about past choices. Why didn't I leave that relationship sooner? Why did I focus so much on my career? If only I'd started trying for a baby in my 30s. These questions create more than emotional pain. They generate an energetic barrier on your motherhood journey. Think about it this way. When you're constantly looking backward with regret, you're literally splitting your energy between two timelines, the one that you're living and the one you wish you had lived. That division creates an energetic blockage that can hinder your progress forward. Your creative life force becomes trapped in a loop of what ifs rather than flowing freely toward creation. One woman I worked with came to me in her early 40s. She had done everything right physically, the supplements, the nutrition changes, acupuncture, IVF, but emotionally, she was stuck in a loop. She could not stop replaying the past. I should have left that relationship sooner. I should have started trying in my 30s. I wasted so much time. She wasn't just grieving, she was carrying regret like a second skin, and that regret was pulling her energy backward. She was physically in the present, but energetically, she was living in a timeline that no longer existed. And that split, the tension between what is and what should have been, was actually draining her life force. When she began gently releasing that timeline, something powerful happened. Her body softened, her nervous system calmed, and as a result, her cycles began to regulate again. Why? Because her energy was no longer stuck in the past. It was finally flowing forward. Time isn't a tyrant forcing you down a narrowing path. It's a teacher offering wisdom you could not have received any other way. Each experience, relationship, and choice has shaped you into the woman you are now. And that woman you have become possesses unique gifts for motherhood that a younger version of yourself simply didn't have. There's also a biological reality to consider. When you dwell in regret, you trigger your body's stress response. This isn't just an emotional state. It's a physiological one that affects hormone production and reproductive function. Your body cannot differentiate between the stress of being chased by a predator and the stress of being chased by regretful thoughts. Both trigger the same cortisol release that can interfere with your delicate hormonal balance. Research has shown that our perception of past experiences directly shapes our current biological responses. When you view your past as a series of mistakes and wasted opportunities, your body responds accordingly, contracting, protecting, and shifting resources away from reproductive functions. But when you reframe your journey as necessary preparation, your nervous system relaxes, creating the optimal environment for conception. You don't get what you want, you get what you expect. Your body responds not just to protocols, but to presence, softness, and trust. The stories we tell ourselves about our past literally rewire our brains and influence our biological functioning. When you spend your precious energy worrying about a future you don't want or replaying a past you can't change, you disconnect from your body, spirit, and receptivity. This disconnection blocks the very miracles you're hoping for. Hope itself is a sacred act of devotion, not wishful thinking, but an essential alignment with possibility. Many women avoid hope to protect themselves from disappointment, but this self-protective stance prevents the possibility of positive outcomes. By armoring your heart against potential pain, you also block its capacity to receive. The fear of disappointment becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So, how might your past choices actually be preparing you for motherhood now? Each experience has given you wisdom, resilience, and clarity about what truly matters. The career that demanded your time taught you focus and determination. The relationship that didn't work out helped refine what you truly value in connection. The years of self-discovery gave you a strong sense of identity that you'll bring to motherhood. These experiences aren't disqualifications, they're preparations. They've shaped the mother you're becoming, creating a richer, more complex foundation for the child who is meant for you. The journey has not been wasted. It's been exactly what your soul needed to become ready. Imagine for a moment that the future, including the child meant for you, already exists as a frequency you could tune into, rather than a distant point you're racing toward on a narrowing path. When we look at fertility through the lens of conventional medicine, we see charts that plot declining chances against advancing years. But if we look beyond those charts, we find women whose bodies tell an entirely different story. I think of Adrienne, a client who conceived naturally at 47, at an age when fertility specialists says it's statistically impossible. Or Alyssa, who welcomed twins at the age of 44 without intervention after being told her only option was donor eggs. These women aren't medical anomalies or statistical flukes. They're living examples of what becomes possible when you access a different relationship with time itself. Quantum physics offers us a revolutionary understanding. Time isn't actually the straight line of past, present, and future that we've been taught to believe in. Instead, it exists as waves of possibility, multidimensional and fluid. In this quantum reality, the future isn't something that hasn't happened yet. It's something that already exists in a field of potential, waiting for you to tune into its frequency. Think of it like this. Your consciousness is the dial on a cosmic radio. The station playing "I'm too old" broadcasts one reality into your life, while the station playing "My child is already moving toward me" broadcasts another. Your attention, your beliefs, your emotional state, these aren't just psychological factors. They're the mechanisms that determine which frequency you're tuned into at any given moment. This isn't New Age wishful thinking. Modern physics has been steadily moving toward this understanding for decades. What we once thought was solid reality turns out to be mostly empty space vibrating at different frequencies. In fact, it's 99.99999% empty space. Our consciousness interacts with these frequencies, collapsing waves of possibility into experienced, manifested physical reality. If that feels hard to wrap your mind around, think about water. Water can exist in different forms: steam, liquid, or ice. It's all the same substance, but the form it takes depends on temperature, or in energetic terms, its vibration. When water is heated, it becomes steam, lighter, more expanded, harder to see, but still very real. When cooled, it becomes ice, dense, solid, and heavy. Energy works the same way. What appears solid in your life, like a diagnosis, a number on a lab report, a timeline, is just one expression of energy at a certain frequency. But when you shift your energy, your beliefs, your emotions, your thoughts, you start to change the vibrational temperature of your field. And like water, reality begins to take a different form. Your body responds differently. Your experiences shift. Possibilities you couldn't see before begin to appear. That's not magical thinking. That's how energy behaves. And your consciousness, your thoughts, emotions, intentions are the heat source. The power of presence is the key to accessing these higher fertility frequencies. When you're fully present, you're no longer trapped by the past or anxious about the future. You enter what quantum physicists call non-local consciousness, a state where you're not limited by linear time or physical location. In this state, you access your creative power to collapse timelines and align with the version of yourself who already embodies motherhood. This is exactly what happened with another client of mine. Beyond her work addressing past regrets, she began a daily practice of presence through meditation. Each morning, she would sit quietly for 20 minutes, bringing her awareness fully into her body. She described feeling as though she was stepping outside of time in these moments, accessing a space where age became irrelevant and possibly felt immediate. She told me, "At first, I was just going through the motions, but after a few weeks, something shifted. I stopped feeling like I was racing against a clock. Instead, I felt like I was opening a door to something that was already waiting for me." This shift wasn't just psychological, it manifested in measurable physical changes. Her sleep improved, her hormone tests showed more balanced estrogen and progesterone levels. Her cycles, which had been irregular for years, stabilized to a predictable 28 days. The mainstream narrative around fertility after 40 focuses relentlessly on biological decline, as if your reproductive system exists in isolation from your thoughts, emotions, and consciousness. But what if that narrow focus is actually keeping you tuned to a frequency where conception remains out of reach? When you practice presence, you stop treating your body as a ticking time bomb and start relating to it as an intelligent system designed to create life. You move from fighting against time to dancing with it, recognizing that the wisdom that you've gathered wasn't a detour from motherhood, but preparation for it. Presence also allows you to access what I call your fertility intuition. that deeper knowing that transcends medical tests and statistics. Many women I've worked with describe receiving clear guidance about next steps, whether it's trying a new protocol, working with a particular practitioner, or making lifestyle changes that conventional medicine might not prioritize. Through presence, you begin to recognize that while age can affect biology, belief shapes biology even more. The thoughts you think about your fertility create corresponding physical responses. This isn't magical thinking. It's how your nervous system communicates with your endocrine system, which directly influences your reproductive function. Let me be clear, I'm not suggesting you ignore medical guidance or pretend that biological factors don't matter. Rather, I'm inviting you to expand your understanding of what's possible when you access a different relationship with time, one where urgency is replaced with trust, where anxiety is replaced with presence, and where the future you desire is recognized as an already existing frequency you can tune into right now, rather than a destination you might never reach in an uncertain future. When we replace urgency with trust, something incredible happens at the cellular level of our bodies. Your reproductive system cannot actually tell the difference between what you vividly imagine and what's actually physically happening. Every single thought you carry about your fertility journey, whether consciously chosen or unconsciously repeated, is being translated into biological instructions within your body at this very moment. Those daily thoughts that might float through your mind, I'm too old, it's too late, or it's never going to happen, they're not just fleeting worries. If you truly believe those thoughts, your body will also receive these messages as absolute truth. When you tell yourself these stories, your brain doesn't recognize them as mere thoughts. Instead, it interprets them as reality and triggers a cascade of physical responses that directly impact your reproductive potential. This isn't abstract theory, it's happening in your body right now. When negative fertility beliefs take hold, your body responds by releasing stress hormones like cortisol. Your nervous system activates its protective mechanisms, essentially moving resources away from reproductive functions and towards systems that help you survive perceived threats. The fascinating and somewhat unsettling truth is that your body can't distinguish between an actual physical danger and the emotional threat created by your own thoughts about your fertility. This relationship between mind and body reveals itself through what scientists call the nocebo effect, essentially the negative version of the placebo effect. While placebos demonstrate how positive expectations can create positive outcomes, the nocebo effect shows how negative beliefs can manifest as biological reality. In one study, patients were told they might experience nausea as a side effect of a medication, when in fact they were only given a sugar pill. Over 30% of them reported feeling sick. Their belief, and not the pill, triggered a very real physiological response. That's the nocebo effect in action. And this same mechanism plays out all the time in fertility. If you deeply believe that your age makes conception impossible, if every article, every conversation, every headline reinforces that belief, then your body receives that message as instruction. Even if your physical potential says otherwise, your system starts operating as if the outcome has already been decided. So, if you deeply believe that your age makes conception impossible, your body receives these instructions and will most likely respond accordingly, regardless of your actual physical potential. When women finally understand this connection, you may notice specific thought patterns that have been creating an environment of resistance within your body. For example, when seeing a pregnant woman, your first thought might be, that will never be me. Or when your period comes, you may think, another month wasted, another egg gone. These aren't just uncomfortable thoughts. They were actual biochemical instructions to your reproductive system. Your body is listening to your thoughts with remarkable attention. When you repeatedly tell yourself that your eggs are poor quality or that your reproductive system is failing, you're essentially programming your biology to express these very limitations. The communication between your thoughts and your reproductive system is constant, flowing without interruption, even while you sleep. The powerful truth emerging from research is that adopting empowering beliefs can literally recalibrate your entire system. When you begin consciously shifting to thoughts like, I am safe, I am open, I trust divine timing, your body responds in measurable ways. These can't be affirmations that you repeat mechanically because it's not the words that your body is listening to, it's the frequency of new beliefs genuinely cultivated through consistent practice. This mental shift reduces cortisol levels and guides your system from constant alert into the rest and receive state, that physiological condition that's more conducive to conception. So this brings us to an important distinction between biological and chronological age, which we've already touched on. While your chronological age simply counts the years you've lived, your biological age reflects your body's actual state of health and function. The revolutionary understanding emerging from current research suggests that your beliefs may significantly influence which age your body expresses. By addressing specific thought patterns, you're influencing not just your emotional state, but your biological age and reproductive capacity. The thoughts that create the most significant barriers to conception are not random. They typically fall into three categories that directly impact your hormonal balance and reproductive function. First are thoughts creating urgency and time pressure, which keep your system in perpetual stress. Second are beliefs questioning your worthiness of motherhood, which can create resistance at the deepest levels. And third are thoughts that fundamentally mistrust your body's wisdom and capability, which may block the very physical functions needed for conception. Identifying these specific thought patterns isn't about blame or suggesting you've created your own fertility challenges. Rather, it's about recognizing where you have genuine power to create change. Women in their 40s aren't merely at the mercy of declining fertility statistics. They're active participants in creating their biochemical environment through their thoughts, beliefs, and emotional states. The journey to conception after 40 isn't just about doing more tests, more treatments, more supplements. It's about being different, aligning your mind and body with receptivity rather than resistance. When you shift your thoughts from limitation to possibility, you're not just changing your mood, you're changing the messages being delivered to every cell in your reproductive system. Imagine for a moment that the mother you're wanting to become isn't waiting somewhere in an uncertain future. She already exists as an energetic blueprint you can access right now. This isn't just positive thinking, it's a profound shift in how we approach fertility after 40. Instead of exhausting yourself with endless doing and external actions, what have you started embodying the woman who has already received her child? Most women spend years in what I call the trying phase, a depleting cycle of effort, disappointment, and renewed determination. They push harder, add more supplements, schedule more appointments, all while feeling like they're running against an invisible clock. But there's another way that aligns with how energy actually works in our universe. When you embody your future self as a mother, you're not just imagining a pleasant scenario. You're literally tuning your entire being to a frequency that already exists. Think about it. The version of you who cradles her baby isn't a fictional character. She's a reality in the quantum field of infinite possibilities. And you can bridge the gap between your current experience and hers through conscious embodiment. Let me share how one client approached this in her journey. After months of meditation practice that helped her step outside linear time, she began asking herself, what would the version of me who is already a mother do right now? This wasn't make-believe. It was a practical tool for decision making. She cleared out her spare room, not as a hopeful gesture, but as a woman who knew her baby was coming. She began declining late night work events, protecting her evening routine as a mother would. She even started speaking to her baby during her morning walks, strengthening a connection that transcended physical conception. When you move through the world as if you're already a mother, your nervous system receives powerful signals of safety and certainty. This might sound subtle, but it's transformative on a biological level. Specific embodiment practices can accelerate this transformation. Beyond creating physical space in your home, you might begin selecting books you'll read to your child, establishing rhythms and routines that honor your energy as a mother would, or making career decisions from the perspective of your future family needs. These aren't acts of wishful thinking. They're declarations to your subconscious mind and body that motherhood isn't a question of if, but when. The beauty of embodiment is that it shifts your entire system from what researchers call a fight or flight state into a rest and receive mode. It represents a fundamental change in your hormonal cascade. When you embody certainty rather than neediness or desperation, your body relaxes its defensive posture. Your hypothalamus signals your pituitary gland differently, which then communicates new instructions to your ovaries. Your reproductive system receives the message, it's safe to conceive now. This is why identity-based changes create more lasting biological shifts than action-based approaches alone. When you transform who you are rather than just what you do, your body responds at a deeper level. Our cells respond not just to biochemical inputs, but to the energetic environment we create through our beliefs and embodied states. Your reproductive system is exquisitely sensitive to these subtle but powerful signals. The transformation available through embodiment is profound. You move from desperate striving to magnetic receiving. Rather than chasing motherhood, you become a clear vessel, ready to welcome it. The exhaustion of constant effort gives way to an energized readiness. The anxiety about running out of time dissolves into a quiet knowing that your baby will arrive in divine timing. This shift doesn't just change your emotional experience, it creates the optimal biological environment for conception. What if all along your baby has not been waiting for your body to get younger or your hormone levels to reach some perfect balance? What if they've been waiting for you to become the mother you're meant to be right now in this moment? This perspective doesn't dismiss the very real challenges of fertility after 40, but it offers a pathway that works with your body's wisdom rather than against it. As our journey together through time comes to a close, I invite you to see time differently. Time isn't your enemy, it's your ally, gently guiding you toward healing and alignment, revealing where your energy needs to focus before welcoming new life. If this message is landing in your heart, if you're ready to stop carrying the weight of fear, urgency, and what if you can feel that you're on the edge of something powerful, then I'd love to invite you into Believe to Conceive. It's my 6-week transformational experience designed specifically for women who are ready to release the beliefs, stories, and emotional weight that are silently shaping their motherhood journey. This isn't about trying harder. It's not about doing more. It's not about forcing or chasing. It's about becoming the woman who naturally receives life because she's finally being who she truly is underneath it all. Think of it like this. When Michelangelo was asked how he sculpted David, he said, "I just removed what wasn't him." And that's what this work is. We're not adding pressure or perfection. We're gently chipping away the beliefs, stories, and patterns that were never truly yours so that the woman who is already ready to conceive can finally emerge. If you're ready to become her, to move from doubt to trust, from striving to surrender, from fear to frequency, then I invite you to join us. The link to join us is in the description below. I'd be honored to walk this part of your journey with you. Your baby isn't waiting for a younger you. They're waiting for the authentic you right now.